Hey, welcome back to Ryan's Small Engine 97. Today we're going to be talking about oil filters. For this particular section, we're going to be discussing the taller premium oil filter. And to give you the size comparison, here's your standard and here's your taller pro. So this is the style we're talking about. So we're going to discuss kind of a little bit what the paper pleat count is, what style of louver core they have, whether it's a whole core, louver slit core, or nylon open cage system, as well as what material the anti-drain back valves are made of, and go on the spring plates that put pressure on the cartridge, and as well as the canisters. So we're going to start with the wicks, part number 51348. The base plate for the, the leaf spring for the cartridge on this one, you can see it's kind of spring shaped. That goes in the bottom of your oil filter, putting pressure on your cartridge. For the paper element on this one, we can look at it and see it's pretty well evenly spaced. It is a glued seamed, it's not metal crimped. This has a louver slit core. Get light in here. It's got all them little slits perforated in the inner core for the oil to flow through. It's got a silicone anti-drain back valve. Should fit like this on the inside here. There's a base plate. So basically, your oil from your engine flows through the outer holes, goes inside your oil filter, surrounds the outer edge of your paper, and then comes through the center part back to the engine. The next filter is the Fram PH7575, and the base plate on this one, it's got the bypass valve built into the spring right here. And I guess I should have mentioned that the bypass valve on the wicks was right in the bottom of that. So on the Fram, this is a glued seamed paper as well. As you can see, it's a little bit wider spaced. There's our glued seam right there. That's 40 pleats, and this is a whole core. You can see all the holes on the inner core. And then this also has a silicone anti-drain back valve. Base plate. Next is the AC Delco PF53. Leaf spring on that. No bypass valve. And if we look at our core, that had 63 pleats. That looks for the most part spaced evenly until we get to here, and that's a little bit crooked, glued seam. There's our nylon open core, and as you can see, this is open-ended, so our base plate leaf spring here comes in here, but we got no bypass valve, which don't like the idea of that. So basically, if your paper element gets filled up so much, it's not going to basically release for the oil to go through a bypass valve like it normally would to try to save the engine from oil starvation. So I don't really like that style. And then we got a nitrile rubber anti-drain back valve here. It sits like that. And then we got the older style Kohler OEM 5205002-S. And everything is identical to the AC Delco. It's got the same leaf spring. There's no bypass valve. It's got the exact same paper-ended cap with the nylon cage. Same nitrile anti-drain back valve. Same base plate top. These two are exactly identical. There's no difference between these two. Same pleat count. Same spec. I think these had 29 microns. We got the newer style Kohler Pro. I don't know if you can see our can differences here. How this older style was a sticker going this direction, and the newer ones are basically printed right onto the can. So that's a good key indicator if you're at a store which one you're getting. Me personally, I would rather get this newer style. It's a little bit better built. So we got a actual spring that puts pressure on our cartridge on the base. And this is our cartridge. It's got a metal crimp seam. It's not glued. For the most part, kind of evenly spaced. We do have a bypass valve on the bottom right there. And it is a whole core on the inside. And it is also 63 pleats, 29 micron. Excuse me, 48 pleats. Nitrile rubber anti-drain back valve. There. So if I was at a store and they had the old style and the new style, I would get this new style. I think that's a better structurally made filter with metal end caps on it and has a bypass valve. Next up is we got the aftermarket Laser 93093. What that looks like. It's also got a spring for cartridge pressure. This is 50 paper pleats. Got just a little bit of excess glue on the seam edge on the outside, which isn't terrible. For the most part, pretty evenly spaced. It's got a metal crimped. And this is also a whole core in the center. And it has a bypass valve in the bottom as well. Has a nitrile rubber and a drain back valve. There's our base plate. Next is also a Laser brand 93093. A little bit shorter can, not by much. It also has a spring and is also 50 paper pleats. See a little bit of glue on there, which is no big deal. For most part, evenly spaced. Metal crimp seam. Bypass valve in the bottom. It's got a whole core. But this one features a silicone anti-drain back valve. Fit like that. So the real difference between your silicone and your nitrile rubber, the silicone is going to withstand a little bit better of your temperature, cold and heat, for remaining flexible. Take on a heat a little bit more, I would say, for the being silicone. But I have no problem with the laser aftermarket ones. If you buy them in bulk, they are considerably cheaper than if you were to buy like the Kohlers individually. I think these are running about $15 retail at most stores. If you buy just the laser by itself, it's probably $12, but if you buy them in bulk, you can get them for about $6.50, $7. So for the most part, this is just a visual overview of what's inside and some differences they have. Again, I personally prefer a whole core versus a louver slit, just because I've seen louver slits not fully punched through, and to me that could be a way for it to cause it to go into bypass mode a little sooner if you had some extra restriction. But comparing the cans on the wicks, you can see that's kind of a flexible thin can. Frame, that's a little bit stiffer. AC Delco, a little bit stiffer, kind of like the Fram. Kohler is going to be the same as that. This newer style Kohler, that's a really rigid can, a lot more rigid. Laser Yellow, that's also a very rigid can, like the newer Kohler style. And the black laser, that's also rigid as well. So that's going to be the next video. Thanks for watching.